Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. And I'm with DANIA.
Hello.
And chronologically, this is actually it's 9 days before Christmas. So that means it's December 16th.
Yep.
And DANIA is in Canada. And the official title of this interview, DANIA is a marketing comic books researcher with Concordia University, where she's going to get her Master's of Science degree next year, which is almost here.
That's right.
She's an illustrator, and we met in all places online. How I love to be a denizen of being online because you meet amazing, wonderful people. So we kind of clicked, and actually we clicked way back in the summer. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
We've actually been talking.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you in a second formally, but we've been talking for the last hour on just a whole bunch of things, the commonalities and so many different things, the channel and of course comic books in her life. I think it's perfect timing for me to introduce DANIA. If you do just a quick little bio, and then we're going to jump in. And by the way, I must say, it was so fortuitous, and I'm so grateful for the universe for having met you, because the commonalities.
So am I.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to be on your channel. I'm truly honored to be here. Really.
Thank you. So,
thank you.
Just a quick little bio, and then we're going to jump in, because people need to listen, because you've had such an interesting journey, the things you're doing. I mean, the whole comic book world. It's so exciting. So take it away, DANIA.
Okay, so I am 26. It's always so hard to just go ahead and talk about myself. I am a skincare enthusiast, a huge pet lover. I have an F2 Savannah cat, an albino hedgehog, and
you say hedgehog?
Yes, that's right.
And albino. That lives in the house with you?
Well, yeah, he has like a huge cage, and he chills with my cat who goes to visit him. Yeah, I named him Bleach. And I have my dog sleeping next to me. I can't help myself from collecting comic books. I love to write. I love to draw. I love to cook. I love to bake. I love to learn new languages. I just love learning new things.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a good background. You are in Montreal.
I am, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to get that. So you had an amazing in such a short period of time academic journey. We could spend an hour talking about that, but just a little picture of what your academic journey has looked like and what you're doing. I mean, to be a Concordia and going for a master's. So
yes. So I am a brilliant student. Pursuing her Master of Science in Marketing after being on the Dean's Honors List twice in college, and starting my bilingual bachelor's degree with a double major in finance and marketing at one of the top 50 business schools internationally when I was only 17 years old. Currently, I am working on my thesis, which involves the marketing of comic books. It's a novel topic that is barely studied. There's not much scholar articles on it. And the main focus of my research is to discover what do readers gain from reading comic books. The thesis is still in development right now, but I am filled with ideas and I am extremely enthusiastic about bringing something new to the world. Concerning my work expertise, I have been a very successful salesperson as I exploded all the quotas I was assigned. My last employer was a cosmetics brand from the UK, and I was the only brand ambassador in my province. I quadrupled their sales in my first month of being hired. Fast forward during the summer, I worked my butt off to apply to the prestigious AMA academic conference, which stands for American Marketing Association, and to present my research called The Power of Transmedia Storytelling Through Comics. This fall, I became a member of the Golden Key, which is an international honor society. I was also awarded a scholarship by the Foundation Arbour, which is very competitive. And I received the news from the AMA that my research has been selected to be presented in Las Vegas next February.
Wow.
Currently, thank you. Currently, I'm a teaching assistant at Concordia University for 2 courses. I am teaching B2B marketing at the undergraduate level and strategic relationship marketing at the graduate level. And next semester, I'll be teaching 2 courses at the undergraduate level, which is B2B marketing again, and service marketing. And I will be creating a hybrid workshop next spring with the COHDS, which stands for Center of Oral History and Digital Storytelling. It will be called Discovering Storytelling in Comics, and it will be available both online and in person in Montreal. And it's to make individuals discover storytelling in comic books. Through experiential learning, everyone participating will grasp the concept of narrative transportation and transmedia brands in marketing, along with storytelling methods found within comics.
My head is swimming. I'm trying to.
Sorry, I'm overloading you guys with
No, well, I'm trying to process all that. It's like, wow.
Thank you.
It's a wow. And actually, kind of a complimentary, actually not kind of, but really complimentary. And you're listening to you talk, it's kind of like, somebody in their 40s or 50s. So, yeah, I just paid you a compliment.
Thank you. No, I do get that. I'm an old soul.
Yeah, I mean, your whole demeanor, it's so advanced.
Thanks.
And on some of your social media platforms, there's a quote, a slogan that you use. I'm going to read it. I always beat the odds. What is that? What does that mean?
Okay. So my life is a journey that has taken me into the wonders of nature and the depths of the human mind. Today, I am still a little voice in the marketing world, but it's been already a very powerful one in real life. My voice has sent my father to prison for 25 years because he murdered my mother in front of me when I was 16. So coming out of that, becoming an orphan, being left with my brother, struggling abuse and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and dependence of substances and medication. There was a point in my life where I lost all hope, and I truly didn't know where I was heading anymore. And I lost faith in myself. But being able to bounce back and to have found my inner resilience and my inner superhero have brought me where I am today.
Right.
So I really feel like I do beat the odds. And if I can, I think other people can too. And education and more broadly, excellence have been driving me and helped me to build the resilience and overcome dependence, depression, anxiety, PTSD. And
what a journey.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's heavy.
No, it's heavy. I wasn't even prepared for that kind of heaviness. That's heavy stuff, but look at you now.
I know. Yeah, it feels good. Sometimes it's hard to believe I went through all that when I look back.
Wow, but look at you now. So that's a wow.
More wows.
Yeah, so I just catch my breath here a little. So moving along, you've been studying marketing. We talked about that before we went on air. You've been studying marketing for a few years. You've done research projects and stuff.
Yeah.
And this, I love this a question because I'm always, well, what can you tell me about unethical marketing?
Yeah.
And I'm an observer of those kind of things, and it kind of ticks me off when I see people abusing.
I know it's so upsetting, but what I can tell you is that it will always exist. An example that is very common is greenwashing. It is more present than ever, sadly. So certain companies have been through lawsuits due to false claims, while others still get away with misleading customers. Ever looked at how a packaging appears to be eco-friendly, but in reality, when you read the ingredients and what's in the product and how it's made, it's just a regular product like all the others? Well, that's what we call greenwashing. I had a group project last semester where we discussed the ways that greenwashing is perceived between individuals in their 20s and individuals in their 50s. And the older participants were more skeptical of green claims due to the popularity of companies greenwashing, while the younger ones were generally prone to pay more for eco-friendly products and supporting ecological causes. This can be applied to cleaning products, water bottles, coffee, fashion, fossil fuel companies, and even marine mammals parks. It's everywhere. It's ultimately an ethical dilemma.
Wow. Asking this question last night, when I stay up late, I get the munchies.
And I do too.
I get the munchies because I do intermittent fasting, and it's great. It's been great, and it's helped me really lose a ton of weight. But anyway, here's the thing. And again, this is kind of off topic, but not necessarily. So the thing was, my wife had bought a thing of popcorn, but it's sweetened with sugar.
Okay.
It has chocolate on it, and
Mm.
all kinds of ingredients on it, and it's monstrously fattening.
my
But
God.
then I looked,
Sounds
Dania, I looked
brutal.
on the side,
Yeah.
and it said non-GMO. They listed a few things that were totally irrelevant
Yeah.
to what the ingredients were. And then I looked at the ingredients, a ton of sugar, palm oil, all the oils that are totally bad for your arteries.
One of the worst. Yeah.
And it was horrible marketing. They focused on ridiculous, stupid things, non-GMO,
It's like saying 100% natural or.
yeah. And exactly. And but they covered up. They didn't honestly, truthfully say these are bad ingredients here.
But it makes sense, right? Because when you look at the trends right now with food, it's eating healthy, especially with the pandemic. I feel like people want to just be healthier in general. And a way to do that is to advertise your products as being healthy ones, right? Non-GMO, natural, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It reminds me of a movie called Sleeper. It's a Woody Allen movie.
I haven't seen that one. I'll
No,
have to
it's an
see it.
interesting. It's an old Woody Allen movie, but anyway, he's a health food proprietor in his day, and then they put him to sleep for 500 years. That's what's called Sleeper. And then they actually wrap him with aluminum foil. It's a comedy. So and then when it's time to unfreeze him, it's 500 years later, and there are 5 doctors unwrapping him,
Oh,
and it's now 500 years into the future, and
just
he
take
opens up his
foil.
eyes. He opens up his eyes, and he looks, and they tell him it's 500 years you've been sleeping, and all 5 doctors were smoking. And he says, "Whoa, wait a second! You're doctors and you're smoking? In my day, that was a terrible thing." And they said, "No, well, we finally found out that smoking is good for you." It was kind of a joke, but there's a marketing thing to that somewhere buried in there, which leads me,
Ironic.
it's one of my favorite scenes in movies, you know. It's heavy and it's profound and it's got marketing
Yeah, absolutely.
attachments to it. I always wear a hat, and that's my brand. And I decided to do that 10 years ago when I became a journalist. And it's always a Rutgers hat. And that
Yeah,
became,
I remember that since the summer.
yeah, always. And I'm consistent. I've been wearing a hat for 10 years wherever I go. So I'm asking you, as a marketing personality, how can brands have personalities?
Great question. So, an example of that in marketing is with brand anthropomorphism. It's about making the brand more human by enriching it with stories that customers can connect and engage with. Do you guys remember the ads that Apple used when their Mac would talk against the PC, where computers were personified and competing with each other? That's an example of a brand that created a personality for itself. So Mac and PC were complete opposites. Mac was definitely the charmer, who was smart and funny, while PC was awkward and not too clever. So brands that use personalization gives them a very likable spokes character. Other examples are Ronald the Clown from McDonald's, Tony the Tiger for the Frosted Flakes cereals, and Geico, who has its gecko, the green little lizard. So in terms of consumer behavior in marketing, brand anthropomorphism can lead to individuals feeling attached to it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know, I watched that Geico thing with that. It's really, it's interesting. It's funny.
Yeah.
I interviewed Gilbert Gottfried, the comedian who was the voice of Aflac
Okay.
Insurance. Actually, I had him right here in my kitchen a couple of years ago before the
So cool.
pandemic. And he was the voice of that Aflac duck. Interesting. Along the same lines, what would you say triggers like a brand addiction? Somebody
Okay.
addicted to a brand.
Yeah. I've been a victim of that myself in the past. So based on a final project that I had to do, I decided to investigate that. So I was able to conclude that there are several factors that can lead to brand addiction and compulsive buying. To sum it up, it is due to the feelings of short-term gratification, like the shopping experience and the pleasure of spending money to buy something. The feeling of attachment weakens judgments of unethical behavior, accelerates emotional contradictions, and influences purchase intentions. This can often be linked to brand anthropomorphism, which we just discussed, since it occurs when a brand's personality corresponds to an individual. Another factor is when one feels brand love, which derives from a customer's long-term relationship with a brand. Their attachments to the brand rely on familiarity, trust, dependability, and consistency of response. But the top reason why individuals become attached to brands is to feel security and safety. So retaining audience interest through the equilibrium of a brand's familiarity, comfort, excitement, and innovation is key to a brand's longevity. Marketing communication and brand positioning strategy are both the major key players when it comes to creating a loved brand. So to briefly answer this in one sentence, it is due to brand attachments, which lead to impulsivity, materialism, and social comparison.
Wow. There's a ton of things involved in building a brand.
There is. I
Wow.
feel like there's a lot of psychology behind it too, right? How to get to
It's
people.
just heavy, 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 heavy stuff. And I mean, the value, it's funny, the value of a brand, I buy 50, I take 50 different vitamins a day. And interestingly, I mean, they're all there, but interestingly, every one is kind of a brand.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a brand. I'm just
As an
comfortable.
individual, yeah, we are bombarded with brands.
Yep.
Everywhere we go.
Yeah, and Bayer aspirin. I mean, I don't buy I pay a little bit more, but I'm just comfortable buying Bayer aspirin as
There you
opposed to
go.
buying, generic
Yeah.
aspirin. So I'm the byproduct.
I mean, I'm a victim of it too, honestly.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable with a certain brand because you know it and you've been using it for years, right? So you'd rather just stick to it than try something
So
new.
interesting. And I used to be a pharmacist, and I studied for years, and in pharmacy, a company invents a particular drug, and they have the patent on it, I don't know, for 22 years, whatever it is. And then, generic companies can make it. And I was never comfortable with a generic company. I didn't know if they had they made it the right way, if the medication dissolved, if there was bioavailability.
True
So,
side effects, yeah.
so I always used to tell, even in my modern life, when I'm far away from pharmacy, I would tell the druggist, I don't want a generic, I want the brand, which is like 20 times more expensive.
True.
Well, I had a rebirth about a year ago, and I gave up fighting, and now I do generics.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
you
say rebirth, we don't hear that word often, but that's what I got right here on me.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't hear that often, but there we go.
Wow, and I use rebirth. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know you had that. Wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
Written in a way that people don't really know, right? Because it's hard to tell. But once you know, you can't unsee it. But not a lot of people know that. So
that's great. That's funny I said that. There's,
yeah, it is.
synchronistic there.
Totally.
So I'm not an overwhelmingly huge fan of some social media. Other social media like LinkedIn, I love.
Yeah.
Because it's been very good for me. But is there a dark side to social media marketing?
There definitely.
Sure, there is.
Yeah. I conducted a group project, and we all acknowledged that social media can both create positive and negative outcomes to its users. However, our studies showed us that the time spent on social media negatively affects users' mental health. The size of one social media network is positively related to the actual time spent on social media. And social media users typically underestimate the real amount of time they spent on their social platforms, which supports prior research findings, inferring that social media algorithms have an impact on its users. Despite the negative impacts of social media on its users, social media companies do not change their way of operating, as it is tremendously profitable in terms of revenues, as explained in the Netflix documentary produced by Orlowski in 2020. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's really good. And it evokes that social media companies' lack of sustainability should be taken extremely seriously by society as a whole. It would be premature to view social media's benefits as outweighing the possible harms when it is clear from prior scholars' studies that social media use can have negative effects on mental health symptoms, can potentially expose individuals to hurtful content and hostile interactions, and can result in serious consequences for daily life, including threats to employment and personal relationships. nevertheless, these social platforms aren't going anywhere. And I kind of want to laugh and say they're a necessary evil.
Hey, it's why we're here.
Well, that's kind of, yeah.
It's why I did everything I do with my channel. It is, I watch, I pay attention. I know Instagram is under the gun for the kind of stuff they do to get young girls
Yeah.
with their whole image and their whole list and
There's been studies now that confirms it,
yeah, it's
huge
scary
mental
stuff.
health. Yeah, especially teenage girls, but
Yes.
also boys too, right? And men as well. It affects your own self-perception.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
it applies to other social media platforms as well.
Yep. All right. Deep breath time. Take a deep breath, and I just want to go off topic for one question. I like this question. So here goes. Excluding family, friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Oh.
And you don't necessarily have to answer it. It's just a
Did you
question.
say excluding family and friends?
Yeah, but there's no rules, so you can include family and friends. Yes.
Right. Because for sure I would say my mom, right? Since she was like my best friend, my sister, my universe, my hero, my everything.
That's
so
fine.
For sure I would say my mom. But if it was anybody else, it's a very good question to ask.
Yeah, it is actually. But you don't have to answer it. It's just you did. It's your mom.
I'm thinking of like, maybe Michael Jackson or Prince or actually Marilyn Monroe. Right?
Interesting.
She was a beauty icon.
Brilliant.
Everybody praises her today, but we don't really talk about how she was suffering from mental health back then, suffering from depression and all that. I would love to have a discussion with her and see how she battled through it, right? Spend a day with her. Yeah, that could be really cool.
She was so iconic.
Yeah, she still is.
So ahead of her time, iconic, brilliant. And could never just never found that happiness that she wanted.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
Back to work.
All right, let's do this.
Can a brand be strong enough to make somebody change their life's routine or something?
Oh yeah.
That can be done.
Oh yeah. I'll answer this question with the findings I have discovered in a project I conducted earlier in the winter this year to understand how people incorporate skincare routines inspired by Asian traditions, whether they are assumed or real. I focused on skincare routines deriving from China, Japan, and South Korea. Now, to answer the question, self-care and consistency form the heart of skincare routines. Social media plays a vital role in the popularity of skincare products, as it allows customers to promote products they love, while also gaining information from individuals they trust, along with the rising interest in natural ingredients and cosmetics. All of the participants in my study expressed their negative perceptions of brands that do not honor the authentic origins of skincare traditions they advertise.
Wow.
So that enforces the idea that authenticity is transparency. And as reflected in practice theory, effective results that skincare provides to consumers are what makes these rituals a priority. The teleoeffective structure that I used in my research found with the theoretical lens and confirms that the end result does amplify desired emotion such as feeling good, feeling luxurious, and maximizing appreciation, which amplifies self-esteem, which is ultimately a competitive advantage that authentic brands possess.
I'm getting such a great tutorial on stuff that really interests me. No, it does. The whole marketing thing fascinates me and interests me, and so you're filling up my head, and that's good because it's
Awesome.
Thursday, and I
I
love
hope
to
I'm
have my
filling other
head.
heads too.
Yes, yes. You're working on your thesis, which involves the marketing of comic books. Can you talk about your thesis?
Yeah. So it has been already demonstrated that visibility is obviously what will make all the difference when you're marketing comics, since social media and digital marketing are an absolute necessity. Promotion and word of mouth can have a big influence on the quantity of sales and reviews you can get. But before any of that, you definitely need to have a business model that covers key elements such as your value proposition, the channels you want to use, which customer segments you're considering, and the type of relationships you want with your customers. However, my thesis englobes a different aspect. I'm more focused on the individuals who read comic books. So the objective of my project is to discover the power of storytelling through its educational dimension, a strategy often used in marketing within the context of illustrated narratives. The relationship between comic books, marketing, and education consists of the stories found within every comic book. They each teach a lesson to readers through storytelling. A tactic, employed in marketing to educate clients on a brand, a product, or a service. And storytelling is a powerful tool for brands, companies, customers, marketers, and scholars who can create an emotional connection and build trust with their audience. I will be investigating how does reading comic books affect individuals, and from more or less a managerial perspective, I will look into how comics engage their readers.
Okay.
A hint, if you want to have an idea of my discoveries, is related to what transmedia brands do.
Okay. Why did you settle in on? It's kind of unusual. Why did you settle in on comics in the first place?
Yeah,
Were you a reader of comics?
I am. But aside from the fact that comics are an art form and they're part of pop culture today, well, comics are part of a billion-dollar industry, and I think that's so interesting how a brand can start off as a comic book and then can evolve into a billion-dollar brand, right? Like when you think about Batman or Spider-Man, they start off as a comic, then they grow into a movie, and then a TV series, and then a video game, and then now there's a new trend with NFTs, which is a non-fungible token. So you can virtually own a copy of the comic book with different editions for the cover page, and then you can actually read online. I mean, I always thought it was so interesting to see how a brand can evolve as a comic. But for me, in terms of what they represent and why I'm kind of addicted to comics, is because they're an escape from my reality. So I had a very isolated childhood, and it was very traumatic over and over again. And I had to find ways to occupy myself. And one of the ways of doing that was reading comics, right? I felt like I was able to escape this sad world and go into a new universe, be with cool people and superheroes and see all those stories. And it's so engaging and entertaining, to the point that I want to make my own graphic novel one day to be able to share my story.
That's great. Off topic.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Is the reading of comic books skewed to one gender as opposed to the other? Meaning, It's equal, kind of,
Yeah.
boys and girls both?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
gender, any age, any background, any culture, any ethnicity, really, it's very diverse. A
Okay.
bunch of different people will read comics.
Hey, what is your favorite comic and why?
Oh, it's such a difficult question to answer because I truly have so many favorites.
Okay.
But there is one comic that is more precious to me than the other ones.
If I use I'm guessing now, if I use the letters WW, am I on the right track?
Yeah, it's the one I kind of discussed before. I have it next to me.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it properly with the light.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so there it is. So this comic is kind of like my prophecy, and kind of like you with your books and how you had like, a spiritual intervention. For me, it confirmed that, and I don't know what you want to call it, like God, the universe, my mom, some supreme force, but it was telling me that you gotta make your graphic novel happen. Um, and like I remember just walking in the comic book store, and that's the first comic I fell on. So on the top it says Diana Prince, which is Wonder Woman's name. Diana is kind of similar to Dania, right? And then I don't know if you can see here, but it says, but why? Yesterday he saved your life. And then at the bottom it says, 20 years ago, he also killed my mother.
Oof.
And I was like, what the heck? What are the odds that like something like
Yeah.
that is in front of me? And at the time I was like with one of my best friends, and he tells me, Dania, did you see? She
Wow.
has purple hair, just like you. So to me, that was just like, oh my God, my brain exploded. And now it's like, I just know I have to share my tragedies and my traumas that I lived ever since I was a child, because I want to publish my mom's books and share her legacy with the world. I want to be able to inspire other people, even if it's one person. To me, if I can make a difference, that's what matters. And in terms of Wonder Woman, some of my friends call me that, which is
And
really
you
flattering.
are. By the way, I'm not just
Um,
saying it because I'm sitting here, but
Thanks.
everything I've heard, you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I
By the way,
appreciate it.
there's an old saying, you just said it. He or she who saves a life saves the world.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's
Getting goosebumps.
yeah, it's pretty powerful. And hearing you say that, it made me think of that.
Oh,
What are your, as we kind of wind down, your dreams and aspirations?
yeah. So, well, aside from publishing my own graphic novel that I want to write, draw, and translate, my professional goal, as far as I can remember, like ever since I was like 5 and started elementary, has always been to be a professor. But then as I grew, I wanted to become an academic researcher and a university professor in business and administration. So with my purple hair, colorful nails, and my tattoos, I want to show that diversity is an opportunity. It is not something that we must be afraid of. I dream of inspiring and empowering the next generation. I do not want to change the world, but I do want to touch people's hearts and souls as much as their spirits. I want to contribute to our society's education and their attitude toward it in a positive way through dignity, respect, and positivity, along with my passion and devotion to not only my field of expertise, but also to humanitarianism by strengthening their lives. I really want my career to inspire youth and victims of abuse, crimes, and violence. Oh, I'm getting emotional.
Heavy.
And I desire to become an example to follow. I want to be an honorable woman. I want to prove that hard work and resilience pay off. I want to convince others that being different is being unique. The things that make you, you are unique. And that's how you differentiate yourself. ironically, the same principle is found in successful marketing strategies. But
Wow,
yeah.
that's beautifully said. And
Oh,
it's funny you talk about being a professor. I was quote a professor for one semester,
I know, it's so
and there ain't
cool.
nothing like it. It's one of the best things in the world to,
Yeah,
to teach a young mind in
so
college.
enriching. It's so wholesome. It's so fulfilling.
So
I love it.
it's the best. It was the best. Paraphrasing Dr. Martin Luther King, when I did the teaching at Rutgers, it was equivalent to my climbing the mountaintop.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to do that, so that's good stuff. Um,
Do
I don't know if you have. I mean, you're an illustrator. It's part of the title
yeah,
of this. Do you have any like drawings laying around?
I
You
do. I
do.
brought
I've
some
never
to
seen.
okay, be prepared, Calvin. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
So this is something I was doodling like years ago.
Okay. So
It's a
that's
it's a character from this manga called Berserk. His name is Griffith.
uh-huh.
Uh, anyways, I was just doodling that. But honestly, with my life and everything I've been through, I kind of like lost the habit of drawing. So I haven't drawn in so many years. But at the beginning of this year, I told myself enough is enough. I have to get into it. I have to start doing it. So after so many years of not drawing, this is the first one that I completed.
Oh wow.
That's Harley Quinn. I
Wow.
was
That,
inspired.
you said that's Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's so cool. For a
Thank
lot of
you.
reasons for me, but it's very cool. Wow.
Thanks. And I kind of like how she's, wasn't she like a PhD in psychology and became this crazy chick? I think that's awesome. Um, and I got inspired by reading one of her comics. I just decided to draw it out. I have another one here from this manga and anime called Tokyo Ghoul. And this is one of the characters in it. So he's a ghoul. He's a human that transformed into a ghoul, but then he's half human, half ghoul, which makes him very unique and powerful. So
Wow.
I don't know if you can see the details, but I had to create several colors with
Wow.
coloring pencils. So I would
Wow.
mix like 4 or 5 coloring pencils to make all the different
Wow.
shades of
Is
it.
that his red eye there?
Yeah, that's like blood coming out of it because it's
Wow. By the way, that's
more.
I ain't no expert, but wow, that's pretty good.
Thank you. I have another one here. Don't judge me, but I was kind of bored in class. It wasn't too entertaining. So I just felt like, sketching out Pikachu, did that quick. Um,
Shoot.
and my most recent one that I'm still working on is a Powerpuff Girl version of me that I haven't completed it yet, but it
Ah,
says Puff.
shoot. By the way, that's great. Right down to the purple hair. That's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, I
That
have
is
to.
great.
Thank you.
It is great. Uh,
Thanks.
but, you can get insights into people by what they draw. You get insights, and it's kind of neat, and it's a great way to close. Uh,
Yeah.
this is a great way to close, getting the chance to take a peek uh, at your artwork. I can say on air that this has been sumptuous, and this has been great in this time, and I'm so grateful that we met
Oh, so am
online,
I,
and that
honestly.
we've become friends,
I know.
and
So cool.
this can be, I'm saying it now, and I'll say it when we go off air, please do come back in whatever form, shape,
Ah,
panel, whatever.
come back as a unicorn.
Uh, 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 I'm a loyal guy. We're friends, and I'll always be here. However, you want to come back and
I
whatever you
would
want
love
to do.
to. I'll be back with more stuff to fill
Yes,
your brains with.
yes. So appropriately, I'm wishing you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year,
You too,
and
and to
and,
everyone who's listening.
and all good things to you, and to be continued. I'd love you to come back. This has been so much fun, Dania.
Yay, awesome. I had so much fun too. And thank you to everyone who's listening.
Thank you. So we'll talk soon. So you be
Sounds
well.
good. Yeah, take
Good night.
care.